Hey, welcome to a full tutorial and review of Jungle Scout. In this video, we're going to show you how to use all of the tools that are part of Jungle Scout, which is software for Amazon FBA. There are going to be timestamps in the description of the video. If you're looking for a specific part of Jungle Scout, we're going to walk you through all of them step by step. In the description, there are also going to be special discounts for Jungle Scout and as well a playlist of my other Jungle Scout videos. Today with me, Edward. He is from Jungle Scout. He's going to help us with this tutorial. It's going to be kind of long and in-depth, so I'm excited for that. And Edward, can you please introduce yourself, man? I'm happy to have you here.
I'm Ed. I know it says Edward. I go by Ed. I've been at Jungle Scout for about 2.5 years, but I've been using Jungle Scout's tools since around 2018, and they've really evolved since I discovered Jungle Scout as a tool. I have sold online for about 3 years now, and I've done mostly Shopify, although also Amazon. So here at Jungle Scout, my role is the principal internal trainer. So if you actually become part of Jungle Scout, you'll probably see a lot more of me in some of the videos in our library. Sometimes I make an appearance on our YouTube channel with our video team as well. But yeah, I'm kind of the resident expert on all of Jungle Scout's tools. So Volva has asked me to give you all a tour of what's possible with Jungle Scout. So I'm going to be going through each one of our tools today to show you what you would get out of a Jungle Scout membership.
Awesome, man. Thank you for coming today. And also myself, I've been using Jungle Scout since 2016. So it's been like 6 years already. I started my Amazon journey with Jungle Scout. And yeah, man, pretty cool to have you here with us today. Yeah, man, let's see Jungle Scout. Let's walk people step by step through it. And hopefully we're going to be helpful for people. Of course, if anyone has a question, drop comments. I'll answer. Yeah, I'll do my best to answer in a detailed way. And would appreciate a like on the video or a dislike if you're not enjoying. So yeah, Ed, man.
Who would dislike you?
That's okay.
Volva, can you confirm to me that you can see my Jungle Scout web app now that I've shared my screen?
I can see it, man. We're inside Jungle Scout now, right?
Okay, cool. So yeah, whenever you log into Jungle Scout, you will have a homepage, and that's what we're looking at here. My homepage has actually been set up with some little widgets that give you an at-a-glance overview of how your business is doing if you've connected your Seller Central account to your Jungle Scout account. And I'll show you how to do that just because it is really important to do it if you want to get the full use out of all of Jungle Scout's tools. But you can rest assured that your data is always confidential. None of us here at Jungle Scout have access to see what people are selling. It's literally just to give you better reports and better insights into your own business, since the reports that you can generate on Amazon's backend are sometimes a little bit difficult to find, but also they're not always the clearest. So we've done a lot to make this data easier to understand visually. But before we get into all of the stuff about your business, I would probably going to start out by showing you how to join those accounts first. So you can see here in the top right corner is where my little account avatar is. All of the countries you see here are the marketplaces that we currently support on Amazon. It's most of them. It's not all of them, but if you don't see your country listed here, I always just recommend that people try to sell in the marketplace that they're the most familiar with. So it's starting out closer to home, learning how it works selling on Amazon, and then as you grow, maybe considering expanding to other marketplaces. But I clicked on the settings button because that'll take me here, and then the Amazon settings button is where I would join those accounts. So it's as simple as just logging into your Amazon Seller Central account from Jungle Scout. The two APIs talk to each other, and then you'll know it's done because it says 100% complete, and then you're ready to go. So my demo account has our North American Amazon account joined to it. Our European one hasn't been refreshed, which is why it says disabled. But in case you weren't aware, if you are located in North America, when you make an Amazon account, it actually allows you to sell in the US, Canada, and Mexico all from one subscription. And if you're in Europe, you get access to all of the European marketplaces as well in one login. So, all right. So normally when I do this demo, I start off by showing people I go through the journey that a completely new seller would follow. If you've never done anything in e-commerce, if you're just getting started learning about the opportunity of selling products on Amazon, the very first order of business you would want to do is to find a product to sell. And so we have several product research tools that you can see grouped here under this menu on the left-hand side. And the one that I usually begin with is our product database. I need to highlight here that Jungle Scout offers a couple of different plans, and I'm using the most tricked out one that gives me unlimited access. We do have a basic plan that is a bit limited. Like you can only conduct a couple of searches in this tool. So I just want to point that out in case people are wondering which one to choose. I recommend for complete beginners to go with the middle one, which is the Suite plan, because that gives you unlimited searches. And you're definitely going to need to do a lot of research before you can pick a product. So our database is actually like a parallel to Amazon. You're not searching Amazon itself. You are searching Jungle Scout's database, but we've been building this up for the entire time we've existed since 2015. So we have millions of products on all these Amazon marketplaces in our database. And you can get really detailed information about the level of demand for a product, what the average selling price is, what the level of competition is. You can do that by setting these parameters that we see over on the right-hand side. So I'm going to leave this on United States because that's where I live. But again, I recommend that you probably should start your search in the country that's the most familiar to you. You can pick and choose whatever you want. You can mix and match all of these settings. But today, I'm just going to go with maybe one category to keep things simple. I'm just going to pick patio, lawn, and garden. And then on the right-hand side is where I would decide whether I wanted to look at only standard size products. These are going to be the most economical to store in a warehouse, like an Amazon warehouse or even a third-party company, as well as to ship to the customers. The oversized category is more for stuff that's unusual dimensions or is heavier than usual. And normally I recommend that total beginners stay away from oversized products, but I'm going to leave this all blank to get as many results as possible. And then you could also see whether you wanted to see the products that Amazon themselves are selling, because beyond being an e-commerce platform, Amazon as a company also sells products under hundreds of different private label brand names. Sometimes you might not even realize you're buying a product that's sold by Amazon. And so I like to check this box just to see what Amazon thinks is good to sell. And some people think that you couldn't compete against Amazon because of all the data they have, but I find that they don't always do the best job of marketing their products, or sometimes the quality isn't really that good. So there could be an opportunity for a small entrepreneur to go and make a better product and then outsell Amazon. And then FBA and FBM, these stand for the fulfillment methods of the sellers on Amazon. So you as a seller could either send your inventory into Amazon's warehouses and let them handle all of the shipping to the customers. If the customer wants to return it, it's really easy. They just send it back to Amazon and they'll handle all that for you so you can focus on growing your business. Or FBM, which is fulfilled by merchant, in which case I've done both of these models. So I often receive my products at my garage here in Texas, where I can store them for free since I have a house. And then I would often take orders to the local UPS store or the post office. But you could also hire a third-party company to do this for you if that's a better option for you. So in any case, I usually just leave these blank to begin with so we get as many results as possible. If you guys are looking for some suggestions, we actually have some presets that you could pick from here to find products with high demand or low competition, or maybe something that represents a good return on investment, just to get you started. But here we've got all of these parameters I can choose from. And I'm actually going to ask Vova for his input because he's fairly experienced doing product research. I have certain numbers that I recommend to complete beginners, but Vova, what do you want to put in today in terms of like the selling price minimum?
Right, it's a great question. And from my experience, man, we started our first product that we found with Jungle Scout was back in the day Kitchen Caesars, right? And back in the day, the price of Kitchen Caesars was somewhere between $10 to $15. Generally, after selling on Amazon for a few good years, I see that it's harder to compete in lower priced products. Not necessarily so, but usually it is so because it takes less money usually to start with these products. There's more competition. So like the higher you do the minimum price, it's theoretically you're going to have less competition because it's going to be more expensive to source the product. It's interesting. Let's say we're working on a new product at this same time. It's being shipped to Amazon and kind of the landed cost of this product is about $1. Although the sale price is going to be we're going to start from $15 and move all the way to hopefully 20. So there's a great ROI there because it's also a small product in the barbecue niche. So I would say like minimum $20, $25. Like it's hard to say exactly, but I would go north of 20, let's say. What do you say, Edmund?
Yeah, I agree because when you sell, there's all these other costs that you might not have thought of, like the shipping costs and then the storage costs and all that. And those can really add up. So yeah, here at Jungle Scout, we usually recommend that you look for products that are minimum $20, maybe $25 or euros or, whatever currency you're looking at. So Today, I'm going to be ambitious. I'm just going to put in 50 as my minimum,
Yeah.
and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens. And then if you have more experience doing product research because you're coming to Jungle Scout, but you've already been selling online, you can choose a lot of things like the net profit after all of the Amazon fees are accounted for. You can search by the minimum or maximum bestseller rank if you'd like to. If you know generally the dimensions and the weight of the kind of item you're looking to sell, you can put those in. I find that usually complete beginners don't really need to worry about any of that stuff, but I do like to focus on things like the number of sales in the last 30 days, because this represents the level of demand. And so my personal bare minimum is at least 300 units sold in the last 30 days. That represents about 10 sales per day in a month. I think that's a very reasonable goal for a beginner to aim for. Now, if it was a little bit less, like 290 or 270, and I happen to discover an interesting niche, I might be okay with that. But usually I want this number to be a little bit higher, so that shows that there is actually demand for it. I think I'm just going to put in 400 units as my minimum today. And then you want to know how competitive the product is, and we gauge that by the number of reviews that a product receives on Amazon. And we say reviews, we're talking about a star rating, somebody leaving a paragraph, or even uploading photos and videos. All of those count as a review. The last thing I wanted to point out here is the listing quality score. This one is good because here at Jungle Scout, you'll find that we assign scores to a lot of things. And so whenever we get a listing in our database, we give it a score from 1 to 10, with 10 being the best score. And we use an algorithm to calculate this score based on things like, have they used all of the bullet points? Have they used a certain number of characters in the title and the description? Have they uploaded a certain number of photos to their listing? All of this to give us an idea of whether the listing quality is good or bad. And so I could put in a maximum LQS score of something like 5 or 6, and then I would get results of products that might represent great opportunities, but the people who are currently selling them on Amazon are not marketing them very well, and maybe you could create a better listing and then outcompete them. But for now, I'll leave that blank. If you wanted to, you could choose the date that it was first available on Amazon. If you have certain keywords in particular that you wanted to look for, you could include those or exclude them if you wanted to. And then you can also exclude top brands or anything that's marked as unavailable in Amazon's system. And so when I click search, it usually does take a little bit of time for it to scour the database, since there are a million products that it's looking through. But now you can see that this table has been generated. Vova, did you want to say something?
No, I'm just following, man. So we have some products now that Jungle Scout shows us.
You can see these are all in that patio category because it's the only one that I chose. I think they're usually arranged from the highest monthly revenue to the lowest, although in this case, I'm not sure which column it actually chose to default to, but you can see that these inflatable Christmas decorations, they're bringing in $50,000 a month. They're selling about 461 of them in a month. But then, this pack of hose coupling here, they're selling almost 2,000 units per month, and that's generating almost $140,000 of revenue. Now, I suspect that these are pretty well-established brands, and this is definitely a seasonal product since it's a holiday decoration. So as a beginner, I would stay away from seasonal items. I want to try to find something that has year-round demand that I can build a solid business around. My favorite column in this table is the selling price here in black, and then these two orange numbers are actually clickable. So the one on the right is the fees breakdown, and if this seller is using Amazon's fulfillment services, what we call FBA, we can see the fees that they're paying to ship this from an Amazon warehouse to a customer, probably in the United States, because that's where most people are shopping in the US market. And then the referral fee is whenever you sell on Amazon, no matter whether you're shipping the product or whether Amazon is shipping the product, just for using Amazon's platform and tapping into all of that organic traffic that they have as the world's biggest marketplace, you're going to pay a kind of commission to Amazon for listing your product. It's usually a percentage of the selling price, and it changes depending on the category. This one looks fairly high to me, but this is important to note that you will pay this for every item that you sell. And if there's any other random costs that you pay, those will be calculated as well. So we know that this seller is paying $23.53 just in Amazon fees alone. I should note as well that if they're a really big brand and they have other channels like a Shopify store, or maybe they sell on Facebook Marketplace or something, they likely have other expenses like web hosting or email software management or advertising. And we don't have access to that data because it's all we can see is what's coming from Amazon. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at these fees. And then the profit calculator is similar because it includes the fees, but it also allows me to experiment with the selling price. And then if I've done some research about how much it costs to source this product, I could plug that in. Personally, I have no idea how much it costs to buy a 10-foot long Christmas inflatable decoration, but they're selling this for about $110. I'm going to guess that I could procure this for maybe like $15 a piece. Let's just play with that number. So if that were true and I found a factory that could sell it to me for that price and I could sell it on Amazon for $109, then I could theoretically make $71 in profit per sale after all of those fees were accounted for. Again, I'm just throwing numbers out there. You'll definitely want to do your own research, but I love this tool because it allows you to get an idea before you really invest money in a product. And then the one other thing I was going to say is that if you expand this, you can usually see all of the child ASINs if there are variants as well. If we thought this looked like an interesting product and we wanted to do more research on it, this little plus sign here will allow me to add this ASIN to Jungle Scout's product tracker. I will get into that in a moment, but the other product research tool I wanted to show you was the extension. And so this button says view on Amazon. This will take me straight to the listing on Amazon itself. I'm going to jump over to another tab. And Vova, do you see my other tab or is it still in Jungle Scout one?
Now we see cactus. Cactus magnets.
Okay, good. Yeah. So I did a search earlier on Amazon for cactus magnets. And as you can see here, well, actually, I want to close the extension first because it's blocking our view. We'll get into that in just a moment. When I do a search on Amazon for a product, we get all these results here. And if you have installed the Jungle Scout Chrome or Mozilla Firefox browser plugins, then when you log into them, you would be able to see these little widgets underneath each listing here. And these give you some really great information at a glance for this seller. So we can see that they're selling about 47 of these. The brand is Fly. They're doing about 3 sales per day. It's generating about $352 in monthly revenue. We can see their net profit per sale and the fees they're paying to Amazon. And then also the little orange icon, FBA, that tells me that they're using Amazon's fulfillment services. If it says AMZ, then that is that Amazon is the one selling it. And when it says one seller, that means that only one person owns this listing and there's no one else competing on this listing. That's probably because these are all sold by private label brands, but sometimes people will resell existing brands products on Amazon and you'll see that there's multiple sellers all on one listing. And so in that case, they're all competing for that buy button by trying to offer the lowest price or having the most positive reviews. So that's what the seller number refers to. Now, if I actually click on the Jungle Scout extension button, it opens this pop-up here. And this is going to give me some aggregate data for all of the products on this first page of search results. So we can see that on average, all of these cactus magnets, I think it said that the average number of monthly sales is about 536. The average selling price is about $9.38. Jungle Scout offers you this opportunity score to give you a little idea of whether this could be a good opportunity. One thing I want to really point out is people will often really focus on this number, but they don't understand that sometimes the search has turned up products that are really not relevant to the keyword. In this case, my search was very broad. So I'm getting all kinds of sets of cactus magnets. Like this one has 16 pieces, this one has 24. So this comparison is comparing apples to oranges. It would be better if I were to search for something more specific and then what could be irrelevant products from the table. And as I refine that list, then all of this data will change in real time and that opportunity score would change. So sometimes people get discouraged. They feel like nothing they are looking at has a good opportunity score. They just haven't learned that they need to refer. You could just, if you save it as a CSV file, you could even do a screenshot and Jungle Scout will blur out all of the sensitive information like the product names and the brand names and stuff. It'll be just the numbers so that way, if you're part of any kind of community online and you want to ask for people's advice on this opportunity, they can analyze the numbers with you without seeing the product idea and stealing your idea. So I really like that part of our extension. And then from the extension as well, you can add the products to the product tracker. You can also go to our keyword research tool or look for a supplier in Jungle Scout supplier database. And I'm going to show those tools later in this demo. But this is our extension and it works in tandem with the product database because it gives you real-time info. So if I come back and I do this search later today, it's possible that Amazon's algorithm will move the products around. If I were to change the search term slightly, it's going to give me different results. So if you're seeing a discrepancy between the extension and the database, it's only because the extension is real-time results and the product database, it refreshes a little bit less often. So this is Jungle Scout's extension, really useful tool for doing research on the fly as you are browsing Amazon to kind of get an idea whether a niche represents a good opportunity or not, or whether the product is too competitive, or whether it looks like there's not that many people selling. I think the extension is my favorite tool of all the ones that we use because I find it to be the most useful. And then product database is more for getting inspiration and seeing what's out there. And then from here is where I'll go do a search on Amazon and then, see if there's an opportunity to be found. Now, before I go to the product tracker, the one other tool I want to show you. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that in the description, we're going to leave a link to download the extension. So if people want to see, actually, if they want to work with it, we're going to have a link to download it. And I'll say that the basic plan of Jungle Scout is the plan that grants full access to the extension. Of course, the basic plan is the first plan. It has less of the other Jungle Scout tools, but for a beginner who's just interested in like researching products, understanding what's going on, so it's definitely included in the basic plan. And also I'll link in the description a video that I have a video on the channel that compares like the basic, suite, and the professional plan. And kind of in that video, I explain which plan is good for whom. So maybe for a beginner, basic plan would be better, or suite, and professionals maybe for a bit bigger sellers that need more access to data, or even beginners who want to just get more access to data. So, but yeah, man, it's a pretty awesome tool, and you can play with it.
Yeah, and I wanted to point out that it is included in all of our Jungle Scout memberships. It's not like it's a separate subscription. It's technically a little bit of a different tool since you have to install it in your browser, but it's part of your membership. It's not like an extra thing that you have to buy. Yeah, so the other tool that I was going to show you for finding products is called Opportunity Finder. This one looks very similar to the product database that we explored a few moments ago because you can see the categories here. I'm going to choose that patio category again, but you can see that on the right-hand side, the filters are a little bit different. In this case, we can still say the minimum number of monthly units sold. I'll put 400 again, but now it lets me put in stuff like the monthly search volume on Amazon. The way this tool works is that the product database that we looked at gives me results for specific products for individual ASINs on Amazon. So I think of that as going from the specific and then using that to springboard into a broader search. The Opportunity Finder is a little bit the opposite because what this will show me is an entire niche, which is represented by a search term. And so that search term can comprise dozens of different individual products that all are kind of related to each other. And so I think of Opportunity Finder as going from the broad and then narrowing it down to the more specific. There's no right way to start your product research. Some people like working in one direction over the other, but they both kind of serve different purposes because of that. So for the search volume, I'm just going to put in a minimum search volume of 3,000 searches per month. And then for the price, I'll put in maybe like $30 for this one. Here we can see whether the niche is seasonal or not. I'll just leave this at medium, and then whether the niche is particularly competitive, I'll put this at medium as well. And so when I click search here, the table, as you can see, looks fairly similar to the one we saw in product database, except over here now we can see these phrases. So Halloween blowups is an entire search term that includes multiple individual products. Life-size skeleton. Right now it's October in North America, so Halloween is coming, and that's why we're seeing a lot of these products. But if I expand this will show me a historic chart that will show me that within this niche, so whenever somebody searched for, Halloween blowups, that there were 261 units sold way back in 2020 in November. Looks like in October of last year, there was way more sold, 939. And then you can see these big spikes here in the autumn, and then it really disappears throughout the summer and the spring, and then it comes back up again. So this is a very seasonal product, which the seasonality tab will show this big spike here. I could see the historic selling price for this niche to see whether it's been going up or holding steady. Surprisingly, this one actually went down a little bit. I usually like to see that the price is holding or that it's increasing over time. And then the search volume as well. How many times are people searching for Halloween blowups? We can see these big spikes again that represent that seasonality. So if I wanted to look for products in this niche, the top products one gives me a little window into the product database. Like we're kind of looking down into the product database. And now we can see the top top selling individual products on Amazon today for when people are searching for this particular term. I like using Opportunity Finder when I have no idea what product I'm really looking for, just to see whether there's like a whole group of products looks like it could be a great opportunity. And then like I go into that niche and I start searching on Amazon and seeing what kinds of individual products exist. And sometimes I find that the products are already very saturated, but then I realize, oh, maybe people who bought this product might also want this product and nobody's selling that one yet. So the niche is a good opportunity, and I just need to find a unique product that can fill that niche. Do you have anything, Vova, that you recommend for when people are starting their product research?
I think when using kind of the Opportunity Finder, I'd say that I like it better because, again, it's not showing one specific product, it's showing a keyword. And again, under that keyword, there are different products. So a keyword might appear such as, let's say I'm selling grill brushes. Actually, this is one of my products I'm actually selling. Now, if you search for term grill brush on Amazon, you're going to see different solutions for grill brushes. It's going to be like grill brushes that are bristle free. They're going to be grill brushes that have like wooden handle and many different solutions. So in this way, you can kind of see the whole market of grill brush as a keyword.
Exactly.
That's what people are searching for. And then you see which specific product is doing better, maybe, because let's say in my case, I'll tell that grill brush, it's a big term. There are different grill brushes, but there's a sub niche, which I'm selling it. It's called Bristol Free Grill Brush. So that's a bit in depth, like it's a bit more niche. It's a specific solution for people who are a bit more afraid of bristles, or just they don't want bristles on their brush. And it goes even more narrow. So with the Opportunity Finder, you discover a keyword, and then you can just dive deep into that. But based on the criteria that we have put into Jungle Scout, actually, we'll see different keywords. So, and then we find a keyword, we dive deep, and then we might find different products.
Exactly. So we can see that there's demand for grill brushes in general. So it's like a good opportunity, but then maybe people are looking for the specifically bristle-free ones or maybe wooden ones. And so at first glance, maybe it's like, oh, there's too many people selling grill brushes, I couldn't compete. But within those sub niches, it's like, oh, there's demand for this product, but not many people selling this specific kind of grill brush.
There you
and
go.
So whether you're using the product database or the extension or the Opportunity Finder, I've pointed out you can always add individual products to Jungle Scout's product tracker. So that's the next tool I'm going to show. We have lots of tools that are formatted similarly, so you'll see our other trackers look similar to this when I get to them. But it's important that when you do product research, you actually track the product's performance over time, because let's say that we did the search today and we found a product that looked amazing because it had relatively low competition and the selling price was good and there's clearly demand for it. But perhaps the data we saw today was just they had a good day today, and maybe in general, they don't sell that many of them. Or vice versa. Maybe we like, oh, this product doesn't look like a good opportunity, but it was just having a bad sales day, but it could represent a great opportunity. So we want to track their performance over time using the tracker. And you can see here we have lots of tabs that we've created at the top that we can name these tabs whatever we want, so we can organize our products in a way that makes sense to us. I'm going to go to the washable pea pads because this is a product that Jungle Scout actually sells on Amazon under our Jungle Creations account. And you can see here that we've got 24 individual washable pea pads on here. And that's important that it says washable pea pads. This is for training puppies so that they know to go to the door when they want to go outside. And we specifically sell a washable one, not a disposable one. So when I add products to this tracker, I want to make sure they're all very, very similar products so that we can get the data is relevant to all of them. So just like the database, we got this table here. But if I click the little view button, it'll show me this historic chart for things like how many units have sold over time, how the sales rank on Amazon has changed. I could even see how the seller's inventory has changed if we have access to that data. And the buy box tells me how the price has changed over time as well. Now, because I'm using the professional account, I get 6 months of historic data for this, but our basic plan will offer a month of historic data and the suite plan will offer 3 months. So the more data, the better. And I always recommend that people try to track something for at least a month to make sure that it's a solid opportunity before they invest money in a product. But the other thing I wanted to show you is that beyond the historic charts for an individual listing, we can also see this aggregate info for our grouping of products. This is really similar to the way the extension collected all that data from the first page of search results and then gave me an average daily sales number, an average selling price, and all of that. The difference is that these numbers are relevant only to the specific products that I've chosen to add to this list. Extension was all of the products that showed up on the first page of search results. So this way I can get an idea for whether this little niche that I've created looks like it's a solid niche that will, build a good business for me. Product tracker, pretty simple to use. With all of our tables, you can always choose which columns appear here if you want to, and you can always download the data as a CSV file in case you want to analyze it in Excel. All right, so we've gone through the product research tools, and then the next thing that we would want to do is look for keywords. So we have some tools that will allow you to collect data about how people are searching for products, because especially on Amazon, keywords are everything. On a site like Facebook or Instagram, it's all about visual advertising and catching people's attention. On Amazon, it is important to have really good photos for your listing, but for people to find the listing, they have to plug in a keyword at the top of the page. And so with our tool, you can search a couple of different ways. You can put a keyword in, and then our tool will actually give you thousands of suggestions of other relevant keywords. Or you can even put in a specific ASIN from Amazon or multiple ASINs, and then we'll show you the keywords that are working for those listings on Amazon. So let's go back to we'll start with the washable pea pads keyword. And you can see I put this in here for the US marketplace. A basic search here will give me, I got almost 2,000 keywords here. We can see the keywords on the left. When it says keyword list, this tells me how many of my keyword lists this one appears in. We're going to show you keyword lists in a moment, but because I've got this demo account, you can see it's full of data already. This little line will show you the trend, whether the volume of this search is going up or down in the last 30 days. When we talk about exact searches, we're talking about, did somebody type in this phrase exactly as it appears here, down to using an S on the end of it, and it's in this order. When we talk about a broad search, we're talking about using some of these keywords, but they might be in a different order. Maybe they've inserted another word in the middle of the phrase. Those are two different kinds of searches on Amazon, and that's important when you want to run pay-per-click advertising campaigns, because the way you bid on those campaigns will differ. So we give you the suggested bid for whether you're doing an exact search campaign or a broad search one. When we talk about how easy it is to rank for this keyword, this is Jungle Scout's estimate for how difficult it is for you to see a positive impact on your listing by including this keyword. And the general rule of thumb is that the more broad or vague the keyword phrase is, the more difficult it's going to be to have an impact on your search sales rank. If it's a more long tail keyword that's quite specific, then usually it's easier to have an impact. And that's just because the more specific the keyword phrase is, the fewer people are searching for it. And so there's less competition for that phrase. If it's a very broad phrase, then you're just fighting against a lot of other people who are using that in their listing as well. So not to say that you shouldn't include broad phrases, but this just gives you an idea of how competitive the keyword is. And then our relevancy score lets you know how closely related this keyword on the left is to what I call the seed keyword or the anchor keyword. Now, the thing is that you get almost 2,000 keywords here, and your listings only have a certain number of characters you can include. So we obviously can't include all of these keywords. So in order to narrow this list down, we could use some of these filters here. The first one here is like the word count. So if I wanted to look for only keyword phrases that have at least 3 words within them, I could put 3 as a minimum. And then if I click search now, it will refresh it, and we'll go from 1,972 keywords to, I think it didn't actually take because I needed to click the apply button. Yeah, we actually recently updated this tool to make it a little bit better. And so, yeah, now we've got 1,700 keywords. Another thing you could do is search by product category. Usually the keywords all fall into the same category, but if you want, you can do that. The product count tells you how many products are on this Amazon marketplace when somebody searches for this keyword. You could do this to kind of get an idea of how much competition exists out there. If I wanted to sell washable pea pads, I might want to see, tell me which keywords are showing up for products where there's at least 5 products out there on Amazon. And then we've arranged this, a lot of these are paired in sort of organic product count, sponsored product count. I'm going to jump back over to my search on Amazon to show you what I mean. Sponsored products are the ones that show up first in the results and they say sponsored underneath them. These are advertisements that these sellers have paid Amazon so that they show up first in the results. But then over here where it doesn't say sponsored, this is called the organic rank. So this is like organic rank number 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5, so on. So when you're doing keyword research, you might be interested to know like how many sponsored products are appearing for this keyword versus how many organic products. And then you can also filter by the search volume in the last 30 days, either for that exact match I mentioned or the broad match. We do have a couple of more advanced filters as well. So for people who have done some advertising, they might be looking specifically to build a list of keywords that they would use in a campaign, and they know what their budget is. So they're going to look for words where the suggested bid is like within a certain range. So you can do that using the estimated PPC bid one. So that's, searching by keyword phrase. Now, I did say that you can also search by ASIN. So if you're not familiar with an ASIN, every product on Amazon receives a unique identifying number called an ASIN for Amazon's catalog. And you can find it here in the little widget from Jungle Scout's plugin, or if I were to go to the actual listing itself, then up here in the URL, you'll usually find it pretty easily because it's just this string of letters and numbers. So now that I've copied that, I'm going to actually come over here and paste that ASIN into Jungle Scout's tool and then click search. And so what this does is it scans this listing and then it will show me the keywords that people are searching for when they find this listing. So I love using this to spy on my competitors to see, oh, which keywords are people using when they find my competitor's listing. I want to make sure that, especially if they're high volume ones like cute magnets, I want to include that keyword in my listing to make sure I try to catch some of that traffic. One little side note I want to add, though, is that if your competitor is a brand, their brand name is one of the keywords, you can't try to piggyback off of their brand name to get traffic to your listing because that's against Amazon's terms of service. So when you're doing your analysis of these keywords, right off the bat, if you see really recognizable brand names, not to include those in the list that you build for your listing, because you'll get in trouble with Amazon if you try to use other people's brand names. The one exception is like if you're selling a phone case that's compatible with an iPhone or an Android phone, then because that's very relevant to the product itself, that's considered a fair use of that brand's term. But you can't try to be like, oh, I'm selling my own phone, but I want people who are looking for iPhones to find my phone. That will break the rules. Here, we've got those same filters as well, but I also said that you can put in multiple ASINs. So if I jump back over to Amazon, I'm not going to grab 10 of them, but I am just going to get like maybe 2 other ones so we can see how the advanced filters look. So we've got this ASIN here.
I guess the idea is to find the best, at least that's the way we do it. We take the best, usually the best selling competitors in a given niche, and want to see where they're ranking, because even if the top seller he's the top seller and that's awesome, but maybe he's missing something. So that's why we take like the 5, 10 of the best sellers, sort of best sellers, I mean like the best selling, let's say cactus magnets, and then we input them and then we pull from all of them the keywords that they're ranking for. And with the advanced filters that you wanted to show, we can do some other stuff. So let's see.
Yeah, here the very first data I put in the list is our highlighted one, or I call it the anchor ASIN. We're comparing all of the competitors to this one. So let's say this was my product that we have highlighted, and then these are my competitors. When I put all 3 of these ASINs in, the list of keywords that it returns are relevant to all of these listings. So there's going to be a lot of overlap because these are very similar products. However, where it gets really interesting is that when I've got these competitors here in our advanced filters, now you can see there's a lot more. We still have those ones I showed you earlier about like how many keywords, how many words are in the phrase, all of that, what's the volume. Down here, though, we could actually filter by like, what is the rank of my highlighted ASIN? And so we'll give you the ranges here to choose from. You could see like the number of searched competitor ASINs and excluding my anchor ASIN that rank in the top 100 products for the keyword. And then we've got like the average rank. So if I wanted to look for keywords that were helping people find only the highest ranking competitors, I could use this filter to do so. And then the last one that's really cool is the highlighted ASIN relative position. So what this means is like, show me the keywords where my highlighted ASIN is actually appearing like in spot number 2 relative to my competitors. And that way you can really, really trim that list of keywords down to the highest performing ones. Or similarly, you could do the inverse of that and say like, okay, show me the keywords where my highlighted ASIN is actually coming in at like spot number 3 out of these 3 competitors. And then I'll see keywords where it's like, maybe those ones aren't performing as well. So I know I could leave them out of my listing and then focus on the higher performing keywords. It's actually quite a detailed tool. This one is probably the most dense tool that I ever train on, but I'm doing a whole overview, so I don't want to go too much into more detail. But if you join Jungle Scout, we have a ton of educational content that shows you how to use these tools in a lot of detail as well. Now, I mentioned, just like with product research, when we're adding products to our product tracker, as we're doing our keyword research, we want to keep track of the good keywords that we want to use in our listing. And so keyword lists is very similar to the product tracker because it allows me to set up groupings of keywords. Some people like to create a keyword list for the copy of their listing, and then they'll create a separate list for PPC campaigns relevant to that listing. And then, of course, if you're selling multiple products, you'll have many, many different lists depending on the products you're selling. So under our little group here for cat toys, we've actually collected 691 keywords. The table doesn't offer any extra data that we didn't see already in the keyword scout. But the reason that you want to create these lists is because when it comes time to actually creating the listing itself, we want to be able to just import all of our keywords that we've chosen in one fell swoop, make it easy in Jungle Scout's listing builder tool to know whether we're using all of them or not. So I don't actually have too much to show here because it's really just a sort of holding an organizational place for your keywords. And as you can see, you can always download the CSV file, or you can add them manually from here if you didn't do it from Keyword Scout. But this leads me to the next tool, which is Listing Builder. When you create a listing on Amazon, there's lots of different parts to it. So the first thing I want to show you is like here in the search results, this is the title of the listing. It's the very first thing that people ever see along with a thumbnail. When we go into the listing itself, the title appears here. Then we have these bullet points. And whether you have a professional Amazon seller account or you've got the free version, everybody has access to these 5 bullet points. We call these features, and you definitely want to make sure to include highly relevant keywords both in your title and in your features itself. But even below that, when you're on a desktop computer and you scroll down past all the other ads that Amazon gives you, there's also this product description area where you can write some more information if you want to. If this seller has what's called brand registry, they have a trademarked brand and they've applied for brand registry with Amazon, Amazon will give them access to what we call A+ content. This seller does not seem to have that, but usually that A+ content is an extra section right here where you can put even more keywords. So I point all this out because the anatomy of a listing is actually a little bit complicated. And with our tool, you can create a really good quality listing that you know includes those relevant keywords, but we'll also give you information about like how many characters you've used and whether you've made use of all those bullet points. So here in my kind of lobby for the Listing Builder tool, we have a lot of listings here that are just in draft status. And then, you know, Jungle Scout tells you the quality of it. So this is like a fair listing, but this one could use some improvement. I can remember which date I originally created this listing and then the last time I edited it. So if we wanted to create one from scratch, I could click this button and I have 3 options here. The first one is to just draft a listing completely from scratch. If I wanted to optimize an existing product, like let's say that some people watching this video have already been selling on Amazon, but they're new to Jungle Scout. If you have active products on Amazon and you connect your accounts, you can just pull in the copy of your listing to our tool. And then that way you don't have to like type everything in manually and you can already get a little analysis for the quality of your listing. Or if you just wanted to do an analysis of an existing product on Amazon, like one of your competitors, you could just plug in a specific ASIN and then we would pull in the copy to our tool and you would be able to analyze it. I'm just going to go with the draft a listing here so that we can see how this would work from the very beginning. So if we chose our cat toys list, that means that I'm going to pull in all of those 600 something keywords from our cat toys list into the tool. If I hadn't done the research in Keyword Scout yet, I could still manually create a list here, but I don't recommend that. It's always better to do the research using Keyword Scout, create your list, and then just import it to the tool. When I click apply, This will then import that list of keywords, and it will give me the chance to refine it a little bit. So I will often remove duplicates because you don't benefit from including a keyword more than once in your listing. It wastes valuable space that you could use for another relevant keyword. I don't usually bother with stuff like lowercase or whatever, but I do like to maintain phrases, because if I don't click this box, it's just going to break all of these keyword phrases into each individual word. So I do maintain phrases. English speakers don't usually need to worry about special characters, but if you're selling in a market where there's diacritic marks, you might want to exclude those in case they cause any issues with the searches. So I'll click process, and now it applies those rules to it. And I can sort it by alphabetical order. I can do it by the length of the keyword phrase or the search volume, which is represented by these numbers in gray right here. If I turn this the other way around, now it starts out with the highest search volume, which is cat food. So now that I've got my refined list, I've applied it to the listing builder, and now I'm down here in the actual content creator where I have all of the words over here on the left-hand side. I have the phrases with the long tail keywords over here. And then you can see I've got the box for my title, and then each one of those feature bullet points I showed you, the product description. And then if you do have brand registry, you should click this box to let us know that you have A+ content as well. One other thing I want to point out is that there's also a box for what we call backend search terms. So if you want to include a really relevant keyword, or maybe here in the United States where there's a lot of Spanish speakers who are searching the Amazon.com website, they might have plugged in a Spanish keyword that's relevant to your product, even though your listing is in English, and you don't want the Spanish term or the other keywords to appear in the listing, but you still want Amazon to pick up on it to show people product, you can put those in right here. So as a little, to show you how this works, if I start putting in these keywords like catit and gatos and cat food and mascotas, I mean, some of these are Spanish keywords, but you can see that it's showing me that I've used these specific words, and that way I can be sure that I did include the words I wanted to. I don't have to worry about repeating them and wasting space. And then you can see that this little needle was starting to move because I was including keywords. So like my product title only has 31 characters, and we recommend that you have at least 100 to 200 characters. We'll tell you how many of your features you've used. So if I put in something like Smarty Cat, and then if I put in Irundo, I think this is the brand name, now we can see that 2 of the features out of the minimum of 5 have been included. I'm just putting in keywords to show you how this changes. Obviously, you need to write a really good listing that will convince people to buy your product while you include these keyword phrases. But I love this tool because it really makes it easy to understand whether you're including good keywords or whether you've forgotten one or not. And then you can also click this preview button, and then we'll show you a little mock-up of what your listing would look like once you export it to Amazon. Because we're only focusing on the text portion of the listing creation, we don't allow you to upload your images in Jungle Scout. Once you write the listing, you can push it to your Amazon account, and then from there in Seller Central, you can put your photos in and any of the other relevant information that Amazon wants. But this way you can at least kind of see what it will look like for somebody. And if you want, you can save this as a draft to come back to later, or if you're ready, you can click the sync to Amazon button and it will push it. So I'm just going to exit without saving this one since I'm doing a demonstration. And now our last tool under keyword research is Rank Tracker. Again, like Product Tracker and the keyword list tool, you can see that it is arranged like this with all these tabs at the top. I'm going to go back to our washable pea pads one again, and you can see that we have this one product active right now on Amazon. If I click on this product, it will take me into an analysis of how this listing is doing. So it's generating a chart of historic performance for my top 10 keywords on this particular listing. When I hover over one of them, it kind of isolates it to make it easier for me to see how it's performing. We've inverted the y-axis so that 0 is at the top to make it more intuitive, because with Amazon sales rankings, the lower the number, the higher you're appearing in the search results. So like number 1 means you're in the first spot in the search results. If you've got a bestseller rank of something like 1,000, then you are appearing far down in the search results. So we've inverted the y-axis to make sure that this line is showing you how you're moving up and down in the search results. for this keyword. Looks like when people are searching for something like potty pads, our product is actually kind of hovering down lower in the search results because that's not quite as relevant to the product we sell compared to something like reusable pee pads for dogs. So my default view is the last 60 days. You can set this to however much time you want to look at, but I love this tool because it really helps me understand whether the keywords that I have included in my listing are actually contributing to moving my product up in the search results or whether they're just doing nothing. So we've got the top 10 ones here, but I could choose any of them if I wanted to from my huge list. And then when I scroll down here, we've got a table that shows me all the keywords lists that I've associated with this listing, what the search volume was for the last 60 days. This column is my favorite because it tells me when somebody searches for the phrase reusable pee pads for dogs, my product is actually appearing in organic rank number 13 on page number 1. But when somebody searches for puppy pads, pet training pads, my product is showing up in organic rank number 132 all the way down on page 3 of the search results. So this column is great because it tells me like which keywords have I included that are really helping me show up at the top of the search results, and are there certain keywords that I should either eliminate from my listing, or maybe I need to spend some money on some advertising campaigns to kind of surface my product for those keywords. The little arrow will show me whether my product has actually moved up or down since the last time the data was refreshed. And again, we give you the suggestion for the PPC bid, as well as how easy it might be for you to have an impact on your sales rank by including this keyword in your listing. Last thing I should point out is when it says in the listing, you can see here that this green check mark, that means that this entire phrase is included in my listing as it is written. If it says partial, that just means that part of this phrase does appear. So probably the word mat appears somewhere in our list, or the word dog does, but not the phrase dog mat. So that could be an indicator that I might want to actually include the specific phrase dog mat if it's performing particularly well. So Vova, how do you, because you're an experienced seller, how do you monitor the performance of your products? How often do you go in and change your keywords in your listing?
So first, I wanted to say, Edmund, that we can also track competitors here, not necessarily only our product. We can plug in a competitor.
We can plug in a competitor ASIN
just to see their positions. Even in the product research phase, we can see how is it changing, what's going on. We can kind of follow what others are doing. But we definitely are using this tool all the time because we want to see our keywords. And let's say we have a grill brush, and grill brush usually would rank for many different relevant search terms. So let's say grill brush Bristol free, Bristol free grill brush brush big, and just many of these, right? We need to gather all the relevant ones, of course, as we've done before in the keyword scout. We find all the relevant keywords, we process all the irrelevant ones, we build the listing, build the title, bullet points, then we track them. Right. And we track them all the time because we have many of them, and manually we cannot really go every day on Amazon and type in grill brush Bristol free, scroll down, and that would just take ages.
See where our product appears.
And back in the day, like I would say, I mean, 2016 when I started, probably, I don't remember if there were keyword trackers. I would say probably yes, but I think those who started in the Wild West of like 2012 or something, I think people just actually tracked it manually, right? So I wouldn't say that we do it daily, that we're daily tracking the keywords. Yeah, definitely at least a few times a week we gotta see, because what happens if a keyword drops, we want to see why it dropped. And what happens, maybe somebody, let's say if we're running ads for that keyword, somebody outbids us and we lost our top of search, let's say, position, right? And we haven't been following like for a week or two, and suddenly we see that we're dropping because we're getting less sales actually for that keyword. So if we were to check it beforehand, if we're checking our keywords, we would see, hey, we started dropping. Hey, what's going on? Why are we dropping on this keyword? Or maybe we're actually doing some sort of marketing campaign for a specific keyword, and we see, is it working or not? So it's a really useful tool, and definitely any seller that's selling, in my opinion, must put all his relevant keywords that he's actually getting sales from, or if not yet getting sales, the keywords that the competition is getting sales from, so we'll know where to rank, and then we'll just follow along and see if we're going down, up, and what's going on. And as you mentioned, Edmund, if it's we should do that actually before we start selling. So we want to have, at least from my experience, we want to have, let's say, a keyword, if it's like grill brush Bristol free, we would love to have it exact in the, listing itself. So
Exactly.
partial is also good, right? So we at least have like Bristol Free here and Grow Brush here. But if we have it as a phrase, it seems like search engines love that. And also people that search for these things, when they're reading your title, it will click in their mind. Let's say if they type Grow Brush Bristol Free and they see in your title Grow Brush Bristol Free, they'll be like, oh, okay, so that's what I'm looking for, right? So that helps you with CTR and with just
and I love what you said about monitoring, like, oh, what changed or why did this change? I meant to point out this little view annotations bit here under the graph. If you decided to include a new keyword that you think will perform well, or you decide to increase your PPC budget for a particular keyword, you would want to make a note of that here so that then if you see a corresponding change for that, you can see, oh yeah, on October 14th, I did this, and then I noticed this change afterward. Some of Jungle Scout's plans actually allow you to have multiple seats. So if you have a slightly larger team of people who are monitoring multiple products, then you can allow those people to also come in and put these notes here so that everybody, you know, is looking at the same data. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that's Rank Tracker. I think that's great, Vova, what you said a couple times per week, because unfortunately it's not just set it and forget it. You can't just write a listing and then let it go. It's like a constant work in progress, and Rank Tracker makes it a lot easier to stay on top of its performance. Okay, so we've done product research, we've done keyword research tools, and then of course we have to find someone who can make the product for us if we're not manufacturing it ourselves. And so Jungle Scout does have a supplier database as well to make this a bit easier. And again, like our product database, this is a separate, like, internal database that Jungle Scout has developed. We have built this database in the United States, there is a law called the Freedom of Information Act, where any citizen can request government records, and depending on their classified level, you can, you know, get these records for free. Whenever something is imported to the United States, there's a record made with the US Customs Administration, and so that's where we're able to get this information. And I point this out just because I think it's important for people to know that this database is built around only US imports, but that's okay, because even if you want to sell in another country like in Europe or in Canada, the US has the most data, and if a manufacturer is selling to a seller in the United States, it's really likely that they'll be able to send it to your part of the world as well. And you can at least get information about whether the manufacturer has a strong history of exports to the US, what kinds of materials they specialize in, all of that kind of stuff. So there's 4 ways that we can search for a potential supplier. We can put in just a keyword. So like I was looking at those cactus magnets earlier. If I just type in a keyword here, it will show me a list based on relevance to this keyword. I could exclude certain countries if I wanted to. So it looks like they've done 14. They've got 14 customers here in the US, and these are their top customers. It looks like actually they have fewer than 14 because this is all the same company, but different legal entities. And I like to point this out just because sometimes when a company will import something to them, fill out these forms, and depending on which department of the company is doing this procurement, they might use different names, and so it'll show up as different sorts of companies on here. I don't recognize these brand names, but sometimes you'll see very well-known brand names, and that's a good sign that this supplier is very well set up to create good quality products. This will tell me what kinds of materials they specialize in. So if they were specializing in something like glass or tile or rubber or something, it might not be great as a manufacturer for magnets, but because they have like machinery and mechanical appliances, that's probably a good sign. And then here at Jungle Scout, we love our historic charts. So this shows me like a history of all of their exports to their customers in the United States since we began collecting that information. So they had a lot back in 2014 and 2015, and then it kind of thinned out here, but it looks like recently they started sending more shipments to the US again. And then below that, we've got the actual historical shipments that include things like, oh, I don't know why the table is not showing me the column header names right now. I should probably refresh the page, but this shows me the purchaser, the date of the shipment, or the order rather. And then this is a harmonization code, or HS code. That's just an international standard that is how we categorize products. And so depending on the harmonization code, that'll determine stuff like if there's a tariff to import it to a certain country or not. This shows me the number of units that were involved in this shipment, and then the number of shipments itself. Yeah, so I can just scroll down here and explore these. I usually use Jungle Scout's supplier database in conjunction with a website like Alibaba, because Alibaba gives you some different information and Jungle Scout gives you information that you might not find on Alibaba. And then I put those two data sets together to determine whether a supplier would be a good one for me. Now, let's say I know a company that sells products similar to the one that I want to sell. I always use the example of PetSmart, because here in the United States, PetSmart is probably the most well-known pet retail store. They're headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, where I actually used to live. So you hear that now the result, the customer in the United States, and then it shows me who their top suppliers are. So I could click on any one of these to go get more information about them. Kind of like I was showing you with the other result, we've got multiple versions of PetSmart here because this is like their corporate headquarters. And then if I scroll down, there's this one that says PetSmart DC and it's in Georgia. I'm almost certain that this stands for distribution center. So this is the same company, but it was a different division of the company that placed this order, and that's why they're appearing multiple times here. But yeah, they've done 8,000 imports here to the United States. And so if I wanted to sell pet supplies, I would probably go look at these suppliers first and see what they make and if they could make a product for me. And then if we had done some research on particular supplier, actually, let me go back to PetSmart and copy one of those names just because I don't have Alibaba open at the moment. But so I'm going to take this company's name here and copy it. Let's say that we had found this name on Alibaba instead. If I plug it into the supplier portion of our database, oh, well, I didn't quite copy it. It'll do the same thing. And if they do exist in our database, then you can get information about them. So it's a great way to compare notes between Alibaba and Jungle Scout. And then you can also search by ASIN on Amazon. So I love this because you could kind of spy on your competitors and try to find out who they're using to source their products. Sometimes when I put an ASIN in, it doesn't give me any results just because maybe the seller hasn't imported to the United States, or maybe the brand name they're using on Amazon is not the same as their legal entity that they're using when they import goods. But in this case, this ASIN for these cactus magnets did actually give me some results, and it looks like it was created by this brand and it was made by this manufacturer, or actually several manufacturers here. I could expand each one of them and then get that shipping history if I wanted to. Looks like maybe that one, they haven't done one for a while, but if I look at some other ones, maybe there's some data. I'm pretty sure that right now my cache is got a couple of errors because I always have my tabs open, so I need to refresh this. But yeah, and then just like the product database or the keyword scout list, you can add a specific supplier to our supplier tracker with this little plus sign here. We've got our groups already set up, but I could always create a new group if I needed to. And that tool can be found over here on the left-hand side. As always, we've got those tabs at the top where you can name them as you need to. And once you add a supplier to it, you can just expand it to get that view that you did from the actual supplier database itself. But there's also these tabs here so that if you had requested a quote from the supplier, you could keep track of those. This is what it looks like when you're setting that up. You can name the quote, say the date that you requested it, the quantity of products involved, the unit cost, the lead time in either days or weeks. And then if you wanted to put a description, you can. And then that way it's easy to keep all of this stuff organized as you're comparing multiple manufacturers. If they send you a sample, then you can even set up samples in here by naming them. You can attach a particular quote to the sample so you remember that the sample came from this particular supplier. And then you can even put notes to yourself that no one else will see, just to say like, well, the quality of the sample was okay, but not as good as this other one. You could even upload a photo of it so you can easily keep track of all of your samples. And if your supplier requires you to send purchase orders, we have a tool that will allow you to create professional looking purchase orders where you fill in all of the relevant information, and then it will generate a very nice looking PDF that you can then send to your supplier. This isn't always strictly necessary. Like, for example, I've never used this tool for my supplier in China because I just place my orders directly on Alibaba with him. But sometimes the manufacturer will want this record. And so if you need to make this, that way you don't have to go into like Microsoft Word and try to do an amateur version yourself. And then you can also put any extra notes that you want to regarding this particular supplier here.
Pretty awesome. This allows us to kind of if we are looking for a supplier initially, we can find it based on our competition, or we can find based on the shipments that have gotten inside the United States. We can find the supplier of a specific product, and we can use it based on ASIN or by big brand. We can take a brand from our competitors, and this can help us along with our search on Alibaba again, because maybe we will actually find a specific supplier that also works with big brands, as you mentioned, and that's a good sign because probably the quality is good if big brands that are well-known choose them. So it's a pretty cool tool to, again, help us source better products, and that means if we source better products, we will actually have better ratings on Amazon because we have better quality products. Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
Or like if you see that your competitor gets bad reviews because people are complaining that the product breaks or bad quality, you could try to see which supplier they're using and then avoid that supplier. So, yeah. So we also have ways for sellers who have a business running to keep track of their profitability and manage their inventory. So down here under sales analytics, actually, I think first I should show you manage products, because we do need some information from you, the Jungle Scout user, in order to give you good analytics. And so down here under product costs, once you decide to launch your product on Amazon, you'll see them here if your accounts are synced. And then we will want you to fill in the data about how much you are spending when you buy it from your supplier. So effective date could be like from the date that you launched it, or let's say that you've been selling a product for a while, but then now when you place an order with your supplier, the price has changed. So the effective date would be whatever you set here. And then you would tell us how much you pay per unit. You can tell us the shipping cost per unit separately. Some people combine those into one just cost of goods, but you might want to actually keep track of those two things separately in case the cost of shipping is going up really quickly compared to the cost of your goods. And then if you pay royalties, or if you paid like a photographer to take some photos of your product or something, you could put the miscellaneous cost in here. And then once you do that, that will tell Jungle Scout the relevant info we need so that when we pull the data from your account to give you your profitability analytics, we can give you the correct information. Product settings also will allow you to tell us things like the lead time for your products, or whether you want a certain product just to not receive a request for review altogether. So when I scroll over here, I can say whether the product is active in all of Jungle Scout's tools or not. The lead time just refers to, from when I contact my supplier to place an order to the moment that my product is actually available for sale on Amazon. How much time is that? Now, more experienced sellers know that there's kind of little chunks in between there where it's like, okay, you've got the shipping time to the warehouse, and then Amazon has to check it in and all of that. So this number is really all of that taken into one lead time. And we always recommend that people are conservative and that they factor in a little bit of a buffer time just in case there's any delays with your product. And that way, when we give you forecasts for when to order your next batch of products, you'll be able to order them on time in order to receive them. And then you can also tell us how many days of supply you usually order at one time. It's all up to you. You just tell Jungle Scout, what your preferences are. And then that way, when we give you our analysis, it's accurate for your needs. Speaking of forecasts, the inventory manager tool, once you've set up your prices and those lead times, this tool is where you can see how much of a given product you actually have in stock in Amazon, and then what that cost you according to the cost of goods that you told us. If you wanted to place another order for 180 days worth of supply, then this will show me what that would cost me. And then based on my historic sales, we can even give you an estimate for how much profit you could potentially make from that next order from your supplier. Of course, all of this depends on you giving us accurate information about your own costs, but I really like that it gives you this estimate for the reorder profit, because even when, Bubba, you probably know, when you've been doing this for a while, it's still kind of scary whenever you have to like place a big order and you have to spend thousands of dollars at one time and then wait for it to be shipped. So I find that particular metric to be very motivating, because it's like, okay, I could make this much money from this.
Yeah, true.
Now, depending on the time frame that we've chosen, like for 30 days window, that's what all of this is relevant to. If I change this to like 90 days, then it's going to recalculate this. It says that we're currently overstocked on this product in Amazon's warehouse, but sometimes if you change this to an even longer time period, it'll be like, okay, well, you're good for 120 days. You have an adequate number in stock. If we were looking at a smaller time frame, then it thinks that we have too many in stock. And then this tells me exactly the date that I should place my order with my supplier based on that lead time, and then how many I should order in that so that I can remain in stock as well. We're actually updating this tool so that it will hopefully allow people to also keep track of other locations beyond just Amazon's warehouses, because I know for me, like I would receive my products at my garage, but I would only send some of them to Amazon's warehouse. And so we know that a lot of sellers want to be able to track their inventory across multiple locations. So we are always working to improve these tools and make them even better for sellers. It's just that particular update is not live just yet, but I hope it's coming down the pipeline soon.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously, as an entrepreneur, interested in how your business is performing, and you can go into Amazon Seller Central and generate lots of reports about your profitability. But I find that their user interface is kind of dated, and it takes some time to learn how to generate those reports. So when you connect your Seller Central account to Jungle Scout, we can just pull a lot of this data into our user interface and give you a much cleaner understanding of how your business is doing. So the default view that I'm looking at is the company view here, and it shows me like, okay, in the last 30 days, I've sold 224 units, 193 of those have actually shipped, and then like 19 of those were actually promotions. So I was doing some kind of lightning deal or giving people a coupon on Amazon. According to the costs that I've entered, this shows me what my net profit margin is on all of those sales, and then what the gross revenue that I generated was. Looks like we actually profited about $800 out of the $8,000 we generated, so that's 10%. And then based on my costs plus, or my costs of shipping and the goods themselves compared to the profit that I made, this shows me my return on that investment. Now, we do break down all of these things into line items so that you can get a very detailed understanding of how this is all playing out. So you got your gross revenue here minus your cost of goods sold, and then you got your gross profit, but then minus your operating expenses, which is stuff like those referral fees to Amazon, the sales tax that you pay, any manual entries that you've put into Jungle Scout, like you paid a photographer, or maybe you're paying an ad agency to manage your campaigns. And then this will give you your net profit. You can then get an even further breakdown of just your revenue over time. So stuff like your sales, or if Amazon issued refunds to your customers. Sometimes Amazon will reimburse you if they lose your inventory in a warehouse or something gets damaged. They'll give you a credit back to your little wallet on Amazon. If you did some promotional rebates or something, then that'll be subtracted from your revenue, and then you get an idea of what the revenue is. Same for the costs, where like we've got the cost of the goods that you sold, the cost to ship it from your supplier to Amazon's to its staging environment, whether that's your house or a third-party warehouse. This line item for FBA inbound shipping is from the staging environment to Amazon's warehouse. And then the miscellaneous costs, again, is manual entries, any kind of fees that you're paying Amazon. So those referral fees, the fulfillment fees from Amazon's warehouse, all of this is just automatically pulled in from your account. And then it does this calculation to make it really easy to understand the health of your business. Now, if you wanted to do this on a product by product view, you could just click multi-product view. And then this will, if you click a given product, it will do the same breakdown, but for that specific product. We haven't sold any of these marshmallow roasting sticks recently. If I were to have the washable pea pads, now you can see that we do have some data in here. And there is this PPC section, but we've expanded this functionality into an entirely separate tool, which is under the advertising analytics section. And that is where if you're running pay-per-click campaigns on Amazon, you want to know how those are performing down to the keyword level. And so again, we start out with this overview of your whole company, where we show you how many sales or how much revenue you've generated from your ads on Amazon, what the cost of those sales was, and then how many people have actually seen the advertisements. But you could add other widgets if you wanted to, like your click-through rate or your conversion rate, the number of clicks, all of that kind of stuff. And then below that, this waterfall chart makes it very easy to understand what your net profit is, because we show you all of your organic sales revenue, and then we show all of your ad sales revenue separated. And then if you've got any other miscellaneous revenue, like those reimbursements or whatever, that'll be here. And then we start just subtracting all of your costs. So what did you spend on advertising? What was the cost of the goods that you sold? What were the fees you paid Amazon for storage and shipping and all of that? And then were there any other miscellaneous things like disposal fees to Amazon or like storage fees or whatnot? And then this bar, this is green, that's good. It means that we're profitable. This is what's left over after all of those costs. If it's red, then that means that we're not profitable and we need to make some changes. I really like this waterfall chart because it's just so easy to understand where like all of the revenue is coming from and all of the costs are going. And then when you do the math, what does that add up to? This little chart will show you the breakdown between your organic sales and your ad sales. And generally speaking, when you do more ad sales, then your organic sales will kind of trail behind that. So the goal, the way I think about advertising on Amazon is like, it's an engine for a car. And so if you give it some more gas by spending more money on ads, then hopefully if you've made the ads well, then that will lead to more ad sales. But then you're going to gain sales rank and you're going to start showing up in the top of the search results organically. And then that will lead to just more organic sales that are technically free. So there's different strategies that people employ depending on what their goals are. Like when you launch a product, you might want to actually like floor that gas pedal and dump some extra money into PPC to try to like get up to the top of the sales results. Or, you know, maybe you're making a change to your keywords and you've been selling for a while, but you want to get more market share. So you like put a little bit more budget into your PPC campaigns. And then this chart will allow you to observe whether or not doing that led to more organic sales over time. Now, again, just like with the other analytics tool I showed you, we can get this breakdown based on an individual ASIN level. So let me find that washable pee pads. This time, the waterfall chart is just relevant to this individual listing. And then below that, we can see like our total sales revenue and then the ad cost for a given day. And then we can also see a breakdown between our advertising cost of sales and our total advertising cost of sales. Again, this is a bit advanced info, especially if you're just starting out. But for those who have done campaigns, you know, sometimes it's okay for your ACoS to be a little bit higher than usual if you've got a limited time frame that you know you're spending more money on ads. Usually you want it to be as low as possible. Tacos, this is just, you always want this ratio to be as low as possible. So that means that this blue and orange line are going to be as far apart as possible. Vava, I didn't know if you want me to explain ACoS and tacos or if you do that in another video, but
I guess we have other videos in the channel for PPC. We can even leave a playlist in the description for people who are watching about PPC. But ACoS is just advertising cost of sale, pretty much how much it takes you in dollars to create a sale. So if people want to kind of deep dive into more PPC videos, I have a playlist down in the description. But again, this section of Jungle Scout just shows it to us in a more comfortable way, maybe rather than how it is in Amazon itself.
Right.
So you can improve your PPC based on that. And because on Amazon, it's they do give you an interface, but it's quite limited.
I guess to make it really easy to understand is this little data point right here on October 2nd, the two dots are almost touching. And that just means that we spent as much in advertising as we generated in revenue from those ads. And so, yeah, the further apart they are, then that means that you're generating a lot more revenue than you're actually spending. And that's generally what you want to do on Amazon. And then tacos is kind of the same thing. The only difference is that it also considers how much revenue you generated from your organic sales on top of those advertising sales as well. So, but yeah, this tool makes it a lot easier than using Amazon's reports to understand whether your campaigns are performing well. And that's what I wanted to show last under the advertising performance tab is that on Amazon, you set up a campaign, and then within that campaign, you have groups of ads, and then you have the actual individual ads themselves. Now, there's lots of different kinds of ads on Amazon, but the one that most people will start out with are individual product ads. And those are the ones that we were looking at here in the search page, like the ones that show up first that say sponsored. This is called a sponsored product ad. And so when we're looking at this tool, that's what it's going to show me. But from the campaign view, this gives me a lot of useful info, like how many clicks has this campaign generated on my ads? How much have I spent total on the campaign? How many dollars in sales has it led to? And then you can see stuff like your ACoS, as well as your return on ad spend. So if this number is 1, that just means that you're breaking even because you're spending as much on ads as you're generating. If it's lower than 1, then your ads are not profitable. And if it's above 1, then that means that they are profitable. So these are actually doing much better because they're closer to 3. And then the cost per click as well. And if I just click on ad groups, then that adds another column that shows me now that ad group within the campaign. And then again, if I click product ads, it adds another column where it shows me the specific product themselves that we're advertising. All of the other data remains constant over here. It's just kind of a further breakdown. And then at the bottom here, we can see the performance of the specific keywords that we have chosen as a seller to include in these campaigns versus the actual terms that the people on Amazon are using when they find our product. So remember, there's like exact match and broad match. Sometimes the people on Amazon will search for a phrase that's a little bit different than the one that you chose. But if it's relatively close, then Amazon is smart enough to know, oh, I want to show the ad to those people. This way we can see what people are actually searching for, and then we can adjust our campaigns as necessary if we see that a given keyword phrase is doing better than the one that we've chosen. But again, this will just show me kind of like the match type that we set up for the campaign, what we're bidding for this particular keyword phrase, how many people have seen the ad because of that keyword search, how much we've spent on that keyword, all of this good stuff here. I love breaking down this kind of data and stuff, but I know that this video is already going on, so I'll let you guys, explore more about PPC and your other videos on your channel, Vova.
Yes.
Let me think. Okay, we have one more tool that I want to show you that often gets overlooked, and it's not in the left-hand menu. It's actually under the settings here. So I've gone up to the right-hand corner. And when I come here, Jungle Scout also allows you to set up alerts. So let's say that you want to know whenever the price changes on a given listing, or if another seller is added to the listing, or if somebody leaves a review, or if the rating changes by a certain amount. Jungle Scout can send you email alerts based on all of those things, and you can do it often based on a percentage change or a discrete number change here. This is particularly useful for people who are all competing on one listing against multiple sellers. So if one of them decides to hijack the listing and within the email settings themselves, you can tell Jungle Scout what time of day you want that to come, how often, which day of the week, which particular alerts to include in the email. And then I also really like that we can give you a sort of sales snapshot of your Amazon business if you've connected so it gives you that kind of sales analytics breakdown that we were looking at, but in an email format. So if you're a busy person juggling multiple hustles, you don't always have to even come into the tool. You can just get that nice little email newsletter. And then it's not really a tool, but we also have a ton of educational content in our academy here. We have an entire course that talks about how to sell on Amazon. So from product research to sourcing that product, to shipping it, to creating listings, all of that stuff. We have tons of modules in here about that. We have in-depth tutorials that show basically what I showed you today in this video for each one of our tools. And then we also have recordings of webinars that we've done where we brought on guest experts to talk about some advanced subjects like PPC or sourcing products from China. But that is Jungle Scout as a tool.
Man, first I want to thank you a lot for sharing it all with us. I'll remind to our viewers that we have the link to the extension in the description. We're going to have discounts for Jungle Scout different. There's for the first month, 3-month, yearly discounts, depends. Also, Jungle Scout offers Freedom Builder Bootcamp, which is a course that helps people from A to Z how to start a private label brand on Amazon by Greg Mercer, who is the founder and CEO of Jungle Scout.
The founder. Yep.
Yeah, and we're going to have all these relevant links in the description. Could we quickly touch on the pricing of Jungle Scout? I know that it might change in the future. If you're maybe watching it maybe 2 years from now, it might change. But currently, I believe that the basic is $49 per month. And then we have the Swedish 69 per month. We have the professional, which is 129 per month, right? That's per month.
Yeah, and it depends on whether people are going month to month or whether they're doing annual billing. So these are our 3 plans right now. It's currently set on pay yearly. So you do get a discount if you pay for the whole year at one time. So for example, if you're just doing month to month, then our suite plan is $69 per month. But if you pay yearly, then you can save 25%. I think, and it comes out to $49 a month for this plan. Yeah, this will give you a breakdown of everything that's included in each one of our plans. Just as a real high-level overview, I would recommend that if you are a complete beginner, you might be tempted to do the basic plan, but actually when you're doing all this product research and keyword research, you have to do a lot of searches, and so the suite plan is the one that offers the unlimited searches for you. The basic plan is actually more useful for people who are already a little bit more experienced, but just want to use the extension to validate some product product ideas. So yeah, and then professional is kind of more for people who have like a pretty established brand in a business, and they might even have multiple people on their team. And so they're managing a lot of products on Amazon. And this one gives them more access to all the tools that I showed you. But the suite one is the best for most people who are thinking of selling on Amazon.
Yeah, in the description, I also include 2 videos that I have like pricing overview of basic vs suite and suite vs professional. I have like 2 videos that break down these 2 plans, or like actually these 3 plans, but sorry, 2 videos like basic vs suite, suite vs professional. Hopefully it's going to help people choose. And again, we have the discounts, the playlist of Jungle Scout tutorials, and also a link to Jungle Scout channel if you want to learn on YouTube, if you want to learn more, because it's an active channel. You guys are always posting content that is relevant and new, and we have pretty cool $1 million case study, right? Series.
$1 million case study.
Yeah. Which is like
so if you go to Jungle Scout's YouTube channel,
yeah.
Then we actually sell the washable pee pads that we were featuring in this video. That's a product that we sell. And if you'd like to kind of come along on the journey and see how an expert Amazon seller would do all of this, it's a sort of TV series that we've got multiple seasons of. And so you can watch step by step how a professional seller would do all of this.
Awesome. We're going to have it all linked in the description. Ed, man, thank you for this. It's really cool that you've invested your time today with us. I really, really appreciate that. And we actually walked through all of Jungle Scout, I believe. For me, it was quite clear. If people want to ask more questions, they're definitely welcome to drop comments. I'll make sure to answer them. Man, anything you want to say to the world? We're almost getting into 2023 now. And just what would you say to people?
I know that sometimes they feel like it's too late because Amazon's been around for a while, but we keep seeing more people interested in the opportunity. And I think there is still opportunity to be had because of how many products are sold on Amazon, especially in a lot of these up and coming markets outside of the US as well. So if there's one thing I think Jungle Scout really excels at, it's being that guide through the Amazon rainforest. Like, it's called Jungle Scout for a reason. So if you do decide to come join us, you'll see a lot more of me. I host a live weekly webinar where we go into these tools and you can do live Q&A. We have a great customer service department. So I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys on one of our future webinars, and I wish you all the best in your Amazon selling endeavors.
Thank you, Ed. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. May you have a great life, man. Thank you for your time today. All the best.
Thanks, you too.
Thank you.
Yeah.